Alright, gonna try giving some commentary on these videos after the fact. Not usually a fan of trying to talk while I'm playing, but I can watch back and probably give some idea of what I was trying to do and find some mistakes along the way. So let's get started with this one against Markov. So I moved through the opener pretty quickly. Once we start the video here, it's a pretty straightforward hand, so I'm going to preempt it a little bit by just talking about what I'm thinking and why it's so straightforward to me. But you can pause the video to kind of think about what you would do as well. So we start with IC versus Inventrix. Inventrix, classically a corp where you ideally want to see something that benefits from the science tag, an early payoff, or especially weak hand that benefits from having a 3 draw that give you upside. And occasionally you find something that's useful for the ability, like a early kelp farming, something like that. We don't see any of that in this opening hand. And so IC is generically going to be a stronger core, but of course you want to make sure that you have something to do with the steel, and ideally some energy, because anytime you have a lot of steel, you're usually going to need some energy to play it, especially the early cards you want to play, like say a city or GHG factories or mineral production. And here we have Dev Center. And we don't really have anything in the way of heat, so anytime we lack heat, we lack influence over the length of the game, we're going to have to play a strategy that can succeed in both long and short games. So here we have energy in the opener. We have an ocean that gives us energy. We have some cash production, which I see is a little bit weak on. Both of our preludes consume cash, unfortunately, which is not great for IC, but we don't really have a lot to do Gen 1. Outside of potentially heat trapping. And we take heat trappers here because it's obviously a steel target, and if our opponent gets off to a quick terraforming start, having heat trappers can be one of the most devastating plays to play on Gen 1. So that's kind of what we're thinking about here and how we move through the opener. Not phenomenal draws here. The solar power, ICS potentially playable, going for science, so could pay off, but for the time being, not a lot to do outside of developing mining rights. And since we have sacrifice, it's a little bit irritating that we couldn't take adapted like in the opener. It's a decent card, especially with Habs, but didn't have it. Okay, so Electrocat here, very strong target. Obviously not happy about passing nitrogen, especially someone with titanium production, but this is a big dump early in steel. Now we get another great steel target in Mohole, target that's also good for our opponent, so it's an easy selection here. As I said in the opener, obviously having power, very helpful. And the tricky decision now is whether we bother with Electrocat at all. We don't have steel production. We have another great target in Mohole, which we'll have to pay for in cash. And, Electrocat can be pretty hard here to keep online. It's 5 production, consumes an energy. So it really here is costing a full value, right? 20 plus, call it 8 for an energy. So 28 for 5 production. It's not a great deal. I think we have a better target in Mohole, so we decided to skip on Electrocat. And always good to have cheap power, plus we're obviously hoping to get Builder here, so fuel generators an easy keep. So we commit to this line. Go ahead and develop Dev Center and Mohole this gen is the plan. And placement on mole here is interesting, but we go at the middle of the board. We have the ability to guard our plants with protected habs here. This gives us access to both sides of the ocean rebates. And since we don't have any plant production possible that our opponent does, and if you have plant production in the early game, generally you want to try to consume those middle rebates. But instead he's going strip mine. One of the unfortunate parts about passing the GSM here. Yeah, GSM's quite strong for Saturn. So we develop our card draw. Anti-grav, great target given we're going card draw here. And here we could think about developing the second card draw. Fueled, easy, we're gonna play it. Heat's more valuable than cash. I guess I decide not to play the card draw, which, yeah, I think it's borderline here. Okay, so, Phobos is a pretty attractive target for someone who's swimming in titanium. Io, a little bit of a scary pass here. Be quite a good play for him, so we're expecting that he found something good on the top deck here. He takes the cheap power, which makes sense. Geothermal gone. Black polar dust doesn't really do much for us here. Doesn't do much for him, so unlikely it gets played. Go ahead and take the slightly better card. If he plays Black Polar Dust, we have Heat Trappers to hit him. And getting hit a little bit by these relog bugs. I think these happen throughout the game, so forgive that. All right, so the card that's good for us here is the Science Tag that moves us towards anti-grav. We'll take that. No need for Phobos or IO mining. They're just fairly weak targets. Not something that we have the cash to play or want to play, especially with 2 card draw. So pretty straightforward decision here. Bug that makes me go first. Annoying. Whenever that happens, just try to give it back to my opponent. Lava Tube, not a good draw. So far, pretty weak material to work with here. And Arctic might be what he took over IO mining here. But, I don't know. It's possible he should take, if that's correct, he should have taken IO. It just makes a lot of stuff threatening for the rest of the game for us. Or I could take an hydrogen here. So, like we said, right, he was trying to consume the rebates in the center. Preserve, fantastic for us. And, yeah, with Mohole there, that's just 2 more rebates that he can't get. So we're happy we play Mohole here. Go ahead and drop Preserve. I think card makes the most sense. We don't have a lot to do. Water Splitting Plant is playable. And we don't have any plants here. So we could think about that. Develop solar power. Go for Water Splitting Plant. It's definitely not super strong, and he doesn't have that much in the way of plants yet, so I'm not yet convinced that's a good route. Tough pack here. Herbivore is extremely strong. Card for a game like this with limited heat, but arrow breaking is too powerful for both parties, so we go ahead and take Optimal. This is Open City, which is very good for him with 3 steel prod. If you have that much steel early in the game, finding premium targets late is important. And so I like to take Open City over Earth Office, generically a stronger card. We played a couple of Earth tags already, one in a Prelude. Earth Office can definitely snowball a bit, so it's a risky pass. But here we take some longer game cards. Permafrost looking decent here. Not a must buy. Okay, Comet, fantastic. ECF. We do have the target in GHG, so reasonable purchase. Looking like our opponent's going to go planner here, which means we don't have to worry too much about that. So he goes one action on Radchem. It's a pretty weird play. Usually Radchem very weak to develop early. Power is expensive and Radchem's just not a very good deal. I think we're pretty much guaranteed to play ECF, so we might as well drop it and start grabbing some plants. Some Psychophiles. Now here, I think again, we have Water Splitting Plant, something to do. It's not very good. Ideally, we want to be doing something stronger than this to have good winning chances. So, the game's looking a little bit unclear here. Opponent has a pretty easy minor fund at this point. Another tough pack. Quantum, quite nice for us. Tech Demo, quite nice for us as well. Quantum gets us closer to mass. It's more power, more heat, and discounts on space, which can cascade a bit in the late game. Tech Demo provides a little bit more immediate value, and we get breathing filters back. So it's nice either way that we get breathing filters. Tech Demo with Optimal here, it's pretty spicy. Can't remember what I did here. And for Quantum, not sure about that one. I think taking Tech Demo would have been pretty reasonable here. Probably, in retrospect, would have taken that. But opponent doesn't have energy. Wow. We got it back. I think taking Acquired Company over Tech Demonstration, even with Earth Office that we passed, is just got to be a mistake. I don't think that that's very reasonable. So we don't get the second science tag, but man, that really catapults our game potentially here. So I think a weak selection by our opponent. Acquired Company does nothing for us, especially since he has Earth Office. So generally you want to take the card that's good for both, and Tech Demonstration is, even though he doesn't know we have Optimal, I mean, just as I see, with some floating titanium, it's a great way to get things moving. So I can't do very much with Prod, but the fact that he took Acquired Company probably means he has Cartel or Miranda. If he has Miranda, it's further surprising that he didn't take IO back in the earlier draft, even if it was Arctic Algae. Rover Construction, also odd because we've seen Phobos and we cut it from him. GIA, fantastic. Optimal, now feeling pretty good about our position. He's running out of good titanium targets. We've cut Phobos, he passed us IO. We have several of the good asteroids in our hand. So here we expect to see Miranda, Cartel, something like that. It's the only thing that can possibly explain passing us back Tech Demonstration. So I think, yeah, unfortunately we can't get down Quantum first, but obviously we're locked behind our science tag requirements at the moment. Let's see what we draw with Tech Demo. Flows and Space Elevator. Flow's pretty good. Space Elevator looks dead. No Steel Prod. Great card for IC early, obviously. funds miner, reasonable. Although I don't know. I don't really think it's required here. If I were him, I would have waited. We're not really threatening anything. And man, no cartel, no Miranda follow-up. Really hard to understand acquired company. So, yeah, I mean here, this is a pretty tricky situation. I mean, water splitting plant helps us turn on our GHG bacteria, which is pretty essential to get towards anti-grav. I like the comet play here, though. We get the bonus heat production. You know, taking the plants. Obviously, you give him a good conversion spot next to his greenery, but seeing as we have access to the southern rebates, I think it's okay to take plants here. Threaten a conversion, maybe force him to do something awkward. Here it's tempting to take plant with ECF, which is what we do. We don't have any targets, and we can pick up the second heat bonus with lava flows and convert under, which I think is pretty nice here. Could also consider taking the card, but this does exactly what we want, which is turn on GHG bacteria next gen. There's no rush on playing it. Yeah, hand's still not very good outside of GIA, but we're looking okay now. Ecozone, almost always a must-buy. Expect he'll probably take Space Hotels again, which gives us indentured back. Very, very good target for us as well. None of this does anything. Let's cut Media Archives. He has Earth Office. We're going to be playing events. Yep, there's indentured back, which is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Space Hotels have dubious value here. Guess it might help him towards Banker, but Banker always a weak fund. So Ecozone helps us out quite a bit. Media Archives looking fairly weak at this point, so usually doesn't pay off that much, and carrying cost is probably in excess of what it delivers us, so reasonably decide to skip it here. We kind of want to drop that Ecozone next to his greenery, so I think that's a priority, and we do. Just cuts him off for more rebates. We're getting fairly outproduced here, assuming that opponent can use his minerals. But still have plenty of stuff going on in our hand. Ahead on most of the awards here, which is nice for a longer game. Looks like Builder's ours. Good shot of picking up Terraformer here if he doesn't get Gardener. There's the hotels, one action, so there's no real use in one actioning if you're in his position. And we have 4 actions. There's not a lot he can do to stall us out here. The fact that he's one actioning makes me think he's trying to work in a conversion around plant hate. Our only plant hate is GIA at this point. That's pretty odd pass with so much cash in the mid game. This gives us a lot of tempo, I think. Here we're gonna drop GHG bacteria. Use ECF on it. That's our third tag. Need one more for quantum here. Pretty annoying. It's awkward. We don't have a lot to do here. I think we probably just take the heat bump, threaten terraformer. We also need 2 building tags for builder here, which is awkward because we have really weak targets in our hand. And probably, again, considering turning on water splitting plant, but man, it does not feel good. It's tough to do nothing here with 52 cash and Gen 6. And Giant Ice doesn't do a lot. He has Arctic Algae. It pretty much just makes his Path to Gardener easier. At the moment, his Path to Gardener involves giving us the ocean bonus, which we want to maintain. Getting water splitting plant could help us get the bonus. It's the merit of playing solar power here. And if we think we're going to play solar power to get builder, then it behooves us to play it now. Really, the consideration here is we need to find 2 good tags for builder at this point. We're not playing heat trappers. And it's usually pretty unlikely to find 2 good building tags in one draft. That's the debate here. Looks like I'm strongly considering playing it. I think this is not great. Okay, there's a much better tag, and we're getting 1 back, so definitely a mistake to have played solar power. And beam pretty strong for him, so easy cut. Again, it's pretty concerning. You pass beam back to us with that much floating titanium. Adaptation technology helps us on anti-grav, but getting centered immediately would be fairly annoying, so. A lot of bugs here. Some easy buys here. Take the 2 building tags. We're now going to have 3 discount on all cards, so we can afford to keep quite a lot here. Our opponent really hasn't done much, especially considering he passed last gen. He's passed on a lot of good titanium targets and IO and beam, which, I think, generally speaking, passing with that much cash to the mid game or sending away the main things that you'd like to do with your titanium, it's not usually a path to victory. Again, send it back to him. Outpost is our play. Floods us. Okay, so now we're in position on both milestones. So he goes grass convert, which now gives him a pretty easy line to Gardener if he wants it. I think Nitro Mosses. We do have Psychrophiles, so I guess it is a keep. Fun builder. Here we force him to take Gardener. It's the reason to fund builder here. Obviously, we'd rather play Quantum than fund our Milestone. So I think with this much floating cash, you have to take Gardener. You can't continue doing nothing in the mid game. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a mistake. And GIA is threatened, and you lose your Milestone. Again, have so much cash sitting around, no points. And Nocticity. It's just too greedy. Water import. Weird one. It's nice center position. Cut him off from the southern rebates. Yep. Not surprising. And then here we just complete all of our actions. We have 6 cash on Psychrophiles, only 1 target, so go here with GHG Bacteria. And quite powerful to have so many actions. We always add stall our opponent here. And we have Permafrost Convert as an option. Sorry, we don't have any plans to pick up, so we don't. We can develop. Yeah, I mean, it's right. I mean, you just basically lost 8 points attached to doing this exact same play if he had just done it instead of playing Nocticity. So this definitely a mistake from our opponent. Permafrost reasonable here. Make sure that we don't lose value on it. Yeah, again, feel pretty good about this position. To think about next gen here. A little bit of the hesitation. We have 19 heat, so we only have 2 bumps. If we take the heat now, we're committing ourselves to the ocean bonus, which we might not want to do. We have a lot of decent plays here. Yeah, another weak pack. I mean, the scores here are going to be very low because been such weak cards in all of the draft packs. AMC he seems to be going Jovians, even though he passed on IO. So we'll cut that. Security Fleet would be good for him, given he's currently spending his titanium on water import from Europa. None of this is interesting for us. Pretty tempting SP Greenery convert here. But of course, that commits a lot of our cash. Cupola is still alive. It does have a decent spot, but I don't think we need another city. We can't really get to anti-grav here, so the SP Greenery convert line looks pretty good. So he standards for it, which quite reasonable play. Can hit him with herbivores before he plays livestock or something like that. Our actions are going to let us move last here. And we're pretty far ahead in terms of action economy. So at this point, we can kind of play pretty slow, wait for him to get the game close to finishing, and finish once he runs out of things to do. Be the general plan. I think a lot of people are just thinking about reluctant to do what he's done here, which is hand points to opponent. But if you think about the flip in terms of these rebates, especially the second greenery, this is the exchange of 12 cash between players. If I get this 6 cash versus him getting a 6 cash, so it's an exchange of 12 cash and an exchange of 4 plants, because I would get these 2 plants instead of him. So exchange of 12 cash and 4 plants, definitely worth more than a point. So he sees that we can take the ocean bonus, use his wife. It's not unreasonable. I think we are winning pretty much all the remaining awards here. He has no heat production. We have arrow breaking. Thermalist looks quite safe. And we have more proactive plays here, so we could definitely be scoring more points. But what I'm thinking about now is just don't need to score that well to win here. And so we just are probably going to pass. Let him progress the game a little further. His scoring potential is very limited with no awards, no plant production, no animals. He'll progress the game next generation with not many options, and then we can end. So that's definitely what's going through my head now. EOS into conversion is pretty reasonable. We have the targets. Use the bio combo, bacteria combo here. Probably conserve the heat so that we have the ability to end on our own terms. I think putting on Eco Zone makes sense here, since we do have one more target, so Herbivores is reasonable. Okay, probably just pass. And again, pass with fair amounts of cash. We're up by a lot. Demos is probably one of the best cards he could have found here. There's nothing else that really matters in these packs. Just cut Sabotage. And keep Sabotage as where I see. And I expect he will progress the game a little bit, and then we just end into a win here. Yeah, so in positions like this, I kind of like what we're doing here, which is just maintaining the ability to end quite likely into a win. Not making it so close that he can easily end. Even if he found Demos here, he commits to the end. We have the last award, and we should win still. So that's kind of what we're thinking here. And I think count up the heat bumps here. We have the GHG, and we have 3 more, so Demos is somewhat reasonable play. So we'll just take it just in case. Send the action back to him. Goes for standard green. He's probably going to end the O2 track here. I think committing to Demos makes a lot of sense. Hit him with Sabotage. And now we'll just stall him out. I don't think there's anything he can do here. And he's in a powerless position. We can end the game on our own. He can't end the game on his own. He's got all these floating titanium doing nothing. 17 cards. a little bit unclear what's in the hand. I assume he must have some scoring that he kept. Probably ecosystems. Maybe a Jovian malt or two. Standard's another greenery. We don't really need to react here. Farming does complete ecozone and a greenery. Looks pretty good. Might standard another greenery here. Not clear. I mean, given he's standarding greeneries, it's a little bit hard to understand what he has left in his hand. Yeah, he's trying to turn birds on. I think standarding the greenery is a mistake here. Even to turn on birds it allows us to end into a win. But to be fair, he doesn't have a lot of good plays, so. We don't need the GHG bacteria, so we put the Psychros on, or ECF on Psychros. But there's no rush on that either. Just thinking about the best finishing line here. Open City puts us to 5 plants. Farming to 7. Oh, okay. Alright. Strange placement for that greenery. I think he'd put that next to Noctis. With no plant production. Probably has a city he wants to play. Mining area. Doesn't seem worth sacrificing a point over. Guess he's trying to defend miner. Alright, now we get into a Cellathon. Lots of trash in this hand. Looks like Open City, Farming, Funzy, Last Award is the best line. I think he should just do whatever his last action is here. left that he can do. That's threatening. Farming's an always play here. But it could be fish, so probably sell first. Space elevator. There's a lot of garbage here. Least likely play, probably space elevator. Think about what he could have left here. City with all that steel. Need some power to do that. If he has a YOLO fund, it would be banker here, so I guess we probably want to hold on to the ammunition we have on banker. Lava tube looks pretty dead here. That's a 2-point SP, but now he's done. So we've accomplished what we wanted, which is getting him to commit to ending. You'll see forfeits before the final scoring. Yep. And farming open city line, sell and fund. Five-point greenery here. Sorry, 4-point, I meant. Alright, not great scores, but not horrific ones either. But it's kind of goes with the territory of the strategy we employed going into Endgame here, which is not pursue scoring, just force him to end and complete. So feel free to leave comments if you have any questions.